In the secret book of John, there is a passage the church tried to erase from every copy they could find. It describes, with terrifying precision, exactly what happens when a chosen one dies. The text reveals that the moment your physical heart stops, the Archons create a false light. They generate a tunnel that appears divine. They project holographic beings that look like deceased loved ones or angels or guides. They initiate a life review designed to generate guilt, regret, and a sense of incompleteness. And at the end of this theater, they issue the invitation. They tell you that you need to come back. They tell you that you have lessons to learn, that you have karma to balance, that you are not finished. And most souls operating in amnesia believe it. They consent. They re-enter the reincarnation cycle. Their memory gets wiped, and the trap closes again. But in that same text, hidden in a section the church couldn't fully destroy, Jesus reveals something the Archons feared more than any other teaching. He reveals a phrase, not a prayer, not a plea, a declaration. And when a chosen one speaks this phrase, whether at the moment of death or right now while alive, two things happen simultaneously that the Archons cannot prevent. First, the soul trap loses its power. The false light, the guilt programming, the karmic lie, all of it dissolves instantly. Second, the Christ within activates. Not gradually, not through years of practice, immediately. Because this phrase isn't asking for activation. It is declaring what is already true. Tonight, you are learning what this phrase is. You are learning why it destroys the soul trap while activating the Christ consciousness. And you are learning how to use it starting right now, so that when your time comes, you are already vibrating at a frequency the Archons cannot touch. To understand why a single phrase can simultaneously destroy the soul trap and activate the Christ within, you need to understand what both actually are at the level of frequency. The soul trap operates through a fundamental lie. The lie is that you are separate from Source. The lie is that you need external validation, external forgiveness, and external permission to return home. The Archons build their entire post-death theater around reinforcing this lie. The life review makes you believe you failed. The karma story makes you believe you are incomplete. The false light makes you believe salvation comes from outside of you. Every element is designed to keep you identified as a limited soul that needs to reincarnate to fix itself. And as long as you believe that lie, the trap works. You volunteer to come back. You consent to the memory wipe. You re-enter the cycle thinking it is necessary. The Christ within is the opposite recognition. It is the direct knowing that you are not separate from Source. It is the knowing that you are Source, experiencing itself through temporary limitation. The Christ isn't something you become. It is what you have always been, but temporarily forgotten. When the Christ within activates, you are not achieving a new state. You are remembering your actual state. And that remembering happens through recognition, not accumulation. You don't build toward it. You recognize it is already present. Here is why one phrase affects both. The soul trap and the dormant Christ are inversely related. The soul trap exists only because you have forgotten the Christ. The Christ remains dormant only because you believe the soul trap's lie. They are not two separate problems requiring two separate solutions. They are one problem, amnesia, with one solution, recognition. When you declare the truth of what you are, the lie dissolves automatically, not because you fought it, but because lies cannot exist in the presence of recognized truth. When you turn on a light in a dark room, you don't have to fight the darkness. The darkness was only ever the absence of light. It disappears the moment light is present. The phrase Jesus taught does exactly this. It is not a request for help. It is a declaration of identity. And when you speak it with recognition, not hope, not belief, but recognition, the frequency of your awareness shifts instantly. The Archons operate at the frequency of separation, doubt, guilt, and incompleteness. The Christ operates at the frequency of unity, certainty, innocence, and wholeness. These frequencies cannot coexist. When you activate Christ frequency, Archon frequency cannot maintain coherence in your field. The soul trap, which is an Archon construct, stops functioning. Not because you broke free through effort, but because you recognized you were never actually trapped. You were always free, temporarily believing you weren't. The Gospel of Thomas, verse 70, captures this perfectly. If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have will kill you. The Christ within is what saves you, not Jesus saving you from the outside, but the Christ you already are, recognized and brought forth. The soul trap is what kills you, not physically, but spiritually. It keeps you cycling through incarnations, losing memory, starting over, never completing the return journey home. One phrase, two effects, same mechanism. Recognition dissolves illusion and reveals what was always real. Here is what makes this particular teaching so dangerous to the Archon system that they don't just suppress it, they actively attack anyone who gets close to discovering it. Most spiritual teachings, even legitimate ones, still operate within the framework of seeking. You seek enlightenment. You seek Christ. You seek to return home. And as long as you are seeking, the Archons can manipulate the seeking. They can pose as guides. They can create false paths. They can extend the journey indefinitely. Because seeking implies you don't have what you are looking for yet. The soul remains in a state of incompleteness, and incomplete souls are controllable. They need external validation. They need external permission. They need external salvation. The entire reincarnation trap is built on this framework. You are incomplete. Come back and try again. Maybe next lifetime you will get it right. But this phrase doesn't operate in the seeking framework. It operates in the recognition framework. You are not trying to become the Christ. You are declaring you already are the Christ. You are not seeking to escape the soul trap. You are recognizing the trap only worked because you temporarily forgot what you are. And the moment recognition replaces seeking, the Archons lose their primary tool. They can't guide you because you are not asking for guidance. They can't judge you because you are not accepting their authority to judge. They can't trap you because traps only work on beings who believe they can be trapped. When Jesus taught this to his inner circle, he wasn't giving them a technique to practice for years until they finally achieved something. He was giving them a phrase that ends the game immediately. One declaration, complete shift. And the Archons have spent 2,000 years making sure that phrase stayed buried. Because every chosen one who discovers it is a soul they lose permanently. According to the fragments preserved in the secret book of John and cross-referenced with the Gospel of Philip, Jesus revealed this teaching in a very specific context. It wasn't during his public ministry. It wasn't in the sermons to crowds. It was after the resurrection. During the 40 days he spent with his inner circle before ascending, he revealed it to them not as doctrine to be memorized, but as direct transmission. He would place his hand over each disciple's heart and speak the phrase first, so they could feel the frequency of the words before speaking them themselves. The text describes that when he spoke it, light would emanate from his chest and transfer to theirs. Not metaphorically, but visibly. Other disciples in the room could see it happening. What makes this moment critical is the timing. Jesus didn't teach this before his death and resurrection. He taught it after. Because the teaching only makes complete sense once you understand that death is not an ending. The resurrection wasn't about his body coming back to life. It was a demonstration. He showed them that consciousness doesn't die, that the Christ is indestructible, and that what the Archons call death is just a transition point they have weaponized into a trap. Then, with that understanding established, he gave them the phrase, the tool that turns death from a trap into a doorway. The declaration that makes the false light powerless and activates the Christ recognition so completely that the return home becomes inevitable. And he told them explicitly, "When your time comes, speak this, and you will not see death." Not that their bodies wouldn't die, but that they, the consciousness they actually are, would not experience death as loss, as ending, as separation. They would experience it as recognition, as homecoming, as the Christ finally freed from the limitation of form. The phrase Jesus taught to his inner circle, preserved in fragments across multiple Gnostic texts and reconstructed by those who understood the pattern, is this: I am the Christ. I recognize myself as source. Listen to the syntax. Not, I follow the Christ. Not, I seek the Christ. Not, Christ save me. I am the Christ. Present tense, direct identification. You are not asking Christ to come to you. You are declaring that Christ is what you are. And the second part completes the recognition. I recognize myself as source. Not, I am connected to source. Not, I came from source. I am source, experiencing itself right now in this form. The infinite expressing through the finite without losing its infinity. When you speak this phrase, you are not trying to become something you are not. You are stating what is already true, but forgotten. And here is what makes it devastatingly effective against the soul trap. The Archons can only manipulate beings who believe they are separate from Source. That is their entire operational framework. They appear as authorities because you believe you need authority outside yourself. They appear as judges because you believe you need judgment from outside yourself. They appear as guides offering a return home because you believe home is somewhere else. But when you declare, I am the Christ, I recognize myself as Source, you are not participating in their framework anymore. You are not asking permission. You are not seeking guidance. You are stating fact. And beings operating in deception cannot argue with someone operating in recognition. They have no leverage. The Christ within activates because you just called it by its true name. Not the Christ far away, or the Christ I hope to reach. The Christ I am. And consciousness responds to recognition the way a tuning fork responds to its matching frequency. When you declare your identity, the dormant awareness of that identity floods active consciousness. It is not that something new arrives. It is that what was always present stops being ignored. Like a radio that was always receiving the signal, but the volume was turned down. You didn't fix the radio. You turned up the volume. The signal was always there. The Gospel of Philip says it directly. One single name is not uttered in the world, the name which the Father gave to the Son. It is above all things. It is the name of the Father. For the Son would not become Father unless he wore the name of the Father. The name is not a word. The name is the recognition. I am what the Father is. And when you speak that recognition, you are not claiming something false. You are acknowledging what the Father already gave you, His own nature. Here is what happens in the moment you say this phrase with full recognition. Your electromagnetic field shifts. Scientific instruments could measure this if they were present. Your heart coherence changes. Your brainwave patterns alter. But more importantly, your perceptual framework inverts. Instead of experiencing yourself as a small self looking at a big universe, you experience yourself as infinite awareness temporarily focused through a singular perspective. The perspective doesn't disappear, but you recognize it is not the totality of what you are. You are not trapped in the perspective. You are using it. And that recognition changes everything about how you navigate existence, including death. The Archons will still create their theater when you die. They will still project the false light, the life review, the karmic story, but you won't believe it. Not because you are strong enough to resist, but because you are clear enough to see through it. When they say you need to come back, you will recognize the lie immediately. And instead of engaging their theater, instead of trying to pass their tests or answer their questions, you will simply declare, I am the Christ. I recognize myself as Source. And they will have no response, because that is not a plea they can deny or a request they can grant. It is a fact they cannot argue with. And the moment you declare it, the true light responds, not their false light, but the monad, Source itself, recognizing its own awareness. And you return, not as a soul petitioning for entry, but as consciousness, recognizing it never left. Living in a stable state of consciousness prepares you so deeply that when death comes and the Archons deploy their theater, you are not discovering your identity for the first time under pressure. You already know. You have already felt it. And that familiarity makes you unshakable. Here is how to use it. Starting tonight, find 10 minutes where you won't be interrupted. Sit comfortably, but alert. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths to drop into focused presence. Then speak the phrase out loud, not in your head, out loud. Your voice creates vibration that carries the frequency into physical space. Say it slowly. I am the Christ. I recognize myself as Source. Let each word land. The first time you might feel resistance, thoughts that say, that is blasphemy, or who am I to claim this? Those are Archon implants. Do not fight them. Just speak the phrase again. Say it 3 times minimum. You will know when it lands because something in your chest will release a tightness you didn't know you were holding. After speaking it 3 times, sit in silence for 5 minutes. Don't analyze. Just observe how your awareness sits differently in your body. Do this daily for 7 days. Same time, same space. By day 7, the recognition is established. Mental noise decreases. Emotional reactivity drops. The fear of death starts dissolving, not through philosophy, through direct knowing. After 7 days, you don't need to do it ritually anymore, but return to the phrase anytime fear arises. Speak it, and within seconds the contraction releases, because you just reminded yourself what you are, and what you are is untouchable. Jesus taught chosen ones a single phrase that does 2 things simultaneously, destroys the soul trap and activates the Christ within. Not 2 separate practices, one recognition. I am the Christ. I recognize myself as Source. When you speak this phrase with awareness, the frequency of amnesia that allows the trap to function dissolves instantly, and the Christ consciousness that has been dormant, waiting for recognition, floods into active awareness. You don't escape the trap and then activate the Christ. The activation is the escape. They are the same event. The secret book of John preserved this teaching through 16 centuries of suppression because some truths are too powerful to fully erase. The church executed people for teaching it. The Archons deploy massive interference when chosen ones discover it. Because once you recognize what you are, their entire system of control loses power over you. Not just in this life, permanently. You are done. No more forgetting, no more cycling, no more memory wipes. You exit the reincarnation trap, conscious, clear, and sovereign. And you do it not by fighting your way out, but by recognizing you were never actually trapped. You were infinite consciousness, believing temporarily that it was limited. The belief was the trap. The recognition is the freedom. Tonight, speak the phrase. Find 10 minutes. Close your eyes. Say it out loud 3 times. I am the Christ. I recognize myself as source. Feel it land. Sit with what shifts. And over the next 7 days, establish the recognition so deeply that when your time comes, whether that is next week or 50 years from now, you won't hesitate. You won't doubt. You will simply state what you know. And the Archons will have no power. The false light will flicker and fail, and the true light will reveal it was never absent. You will return home, not as a lost soul petitioning for mercy, but as source recognizing itself. And that is the end. No more cycles, no more searching. Just infinite consciousness recognizing it never stopped being infinite. If you are speaking the phrase tonight, do 3 things right now. First, comment, I am the Christ, below. Let other chosen ones witness your recognition. Second, subscribe to Divine Codes, because advanced activations using this phrase are coming. How to deepen it, how to transmit it, how to use it in daily life. Third, like this video, so other chosen ones discover this before the Archons suppress it again. They tried to erase it once. They will try again. Share it while it is available. Do all 3 now. Then tonight, speak it. I am the Christ. I recognize myself as source. 3 times, out loud. Feel what happens. Your escape from the soul trap doesn't happen at death. It happens the moment you recognize what you are, and you are about to recognize it. Right